Welcome back to another episode of A Positive Insights, and today I've got the pleasure of being joined by Colin Cuthbert.
Mate, good to see you. I know it's fleeting for you. You've what was it on the plane from Perth to Melbourne to Sydney?
Mate, definitely a jet setter at the moment, and it shows. I'm exhausted, but awesome to have you on, mate. I know we've known each other for a long, long time, and been hoping to have you on. So now you're on. So
Appreciate it. Thank you.
If we can start with a little bit of a background on you.
Won't go too far back, mate, because I'm 50 now. But I've been in the country for about 23 years, but I've done a number of sales jobs. You know, as we spoke about earlier, as you know, I exited a business about 2.5 years ago. Prior to that, you know, I used to work for another organisation. We acquired that one. There's been some ups and downs, and obviously now an EOS implementer. It helped me in business, and I'm studying to be a SEPA planner as well to help people potentially exit. And exit means different to a lot of different people. So yeah, there's a few plates being spun at the moment.
There's a lot of plates. You've got a lot on your plate. So EOS implementer. Can you give us an understanding of what that is?
Yeah, EOS, it stands for the Entrepreneurial Operating System. You know, it comes out of the States, and it's really designed to help entrepreneurial businesses or business owners scale and grow. How I got into EOS myself, bizarrely, you know, I know we've only got 25 minutes, but I got introduced to an implementer about 8-9 years ago. I was on a golf course, and I didn't really know what EOS was at the time. I just thought, you know, yeah, we were scaling the business, we were growing, we were doing things right. And at the end of the golf round, the implementer said, "I can help you out." And I said, "Mate, it's fine, I'm doing okay." And it was only a couple of years later when we'd acquired the other business. If you've not heard the story, I ended up losing my phone, losing my wallet in Noosaville River, had $3.5 million of debt that we were chasing. I was the only person chasing it. And it was me having to approve 400 people's payroll a couple of days later. So the stress was real. A few weeks after that, I reached back out to the EOS implementer because he'd said, "I can help you." And I said, "Mate, what did you mean by it?" And if I go back to that moment on the golf course, he saw that the business was running me. And obviously, you know, for me, I tried to probably cover that up. But it really helped me scale the business. It helped the staff as well. You know, it creates other leaders, and it really puts a real good structure around the business, because often what I find, the more I speak to business owners, in inverted commas, we become super employees. We think we can do everything. We've got all the answers, but they're not necessarily the right answers. So we do too much, and we don't allow other people to flourish underneath us. So, you know, for me, EOS helped me scale and grow. Yes, I exited. It wasn't a planned exit. I was due to go with the business, but, you know, as you know, we won't go into details in terms of mental health. That's probably another podcast. But I've realised, you know, taking a bit of time out, that EOS really helped me out, and my purpose in life is to help other people. You know, I get the stress, the strain, the pain in the stomach, you know, the lack of sleep sometimes when we are running a business. There's a lot to deal with. Cash flow as well. You know, we can probably touch on that as well. But there's a lot of things business owners go through. And for me, like I say, EOS really opened my eyes. It gave other people, you know, I suppose a good reason to flourish, and seeing other people. If you put people first, profit comes second. But yeah, EOS for me, I only sort of started being an implementer about a year ago, and I don't just deal with recruitment companies. There's a lot of other businesses out there that are entrepreneurial and, you know, want to scale and grow, and they get stuck. They get stuck in the jar.
They get stuck in a jar. I wonder why that jar was here. So explain to me what stuck in a jar means.
Mate, I think it means, it can mean a lot of different things, but often in EOS terms, we talk about working in the business, not on it. You know, I put this jar on the table in my office in the session room. And what it really means is, you know, business owners, we work so much in it, we can't see it from an outside perspective. And it's interesting when I sit this side of the table being an implementer, looking at the stresses and the strains of businesses, and we need to get out of it. Sometimes we do get trapped. We don't often see things for what they are. We're just doing tasks and things, rather than actually working on the business or in the jar, as it were.
Yeah, okay. So how do you actually get out of the jar?
I think you've got to you've got to realise that you do need help. You've got to do some self-reflection. And, for me, when I lost my phone and my wallet, that was a really big reflection time for me. And, actually stepping away or stepping outside of the jar and getting some help, whether it's cash flow funding, whether it's business coaching, whether it's EOS. I'm finding there's more and more people, and I think from COVID is exacerbated quite a lot. Business owners have dealt with a hell of a lot, and people have in generally, but I think business owners are now starting to put their hand up and say, hey, can you help us out? Because they're looking at themselves and looking at the way they're running their business, and sometimes it's too late, with businesses. So I think by stepping out and stepping back and asking others, it's a good indication that you're looking out of what you're currently doing.
Yeah, okay. So you're saying sometimes it's too late. So when's the right time? Like, maybe not the perfect time, but like, what's like for you? It was obviously dropping your wallet in Noosa River, and that was kind of like your moment where you realised you needed help. But when's like the tipping point when someone needs help, and when should they reach out to someone like you?
Tomorrow, yesterday. No, I think from EOS perspective, you've really got to. I present to people all the time, and give them the free tools, and it's a very different decision-making process to payroll, as it were. As you know, recruitment companies, if they want somebody paid, they want them paid yesterday.
Yeah.
With EOS, it does take that maybe phone or wallet experience. Not with everyone. That's me. But I think generally people are looking at assistance now. When I talk about, say, payroll financing or financing in general, people do it potentially too late. It's better to do it when you don't need it, as opposed to do it when you're struggling. Because obviously, from a funding perspective or banks lending, you want to do it in a really strong period of time, because if you might not necessarily know you want to grow. You might get a load of deals coming across the table, but cash flow is everything, right? So I often say to people, even in this side of the business, talking in EOS terms, do it sooner rather than later, because it's better to have something in place, for the rainy day.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I always recommend you be strategic, and we always have it. It's like you chat to people. Yeah, I like the product, I like the the purpose of it, but we don't really need it. It's just like, well, do you know when you might need it? But really, we always say, let's just be strategic, put it in place, and at least you've got the confidence you can grow your business, rather than last minute. I need it to, like yesterday, like you mentioned about getting your payroll processed. Like, that happens often.
Well, when I look at COVID, Mum was over here recently, and she said, Cole, you keep going back to COVID. And I think COVID taught me so much. One from a business perspective, but if COVID didn't teach us anything in life, what it taught me was the rainy days can come.
Yeah.
Let's prepare for them. And, from like I say, whether it's business funding, you don't know what's going to happen. But yeah, if you are stuck in this, some people don't realise they're stuck in the jar. Some people don't realise they need funding, but it's better to have a facility, for a growth perspective. I've got a little business on the side with a mate of mine. We've just put an overdraft facility in because we can do it with that type of business. It's not necessarily we need it now, but we're just writing a vision plan, all in line with EOS, to really sort of scale the business, and we're looking ahead. So we're doing it now, as opposed to when that rainy day might come.
Yeah, so it's more about looking ahead, what might be coming in the future.
Yeah, exactly. We just don't know.
Yeah. Like, what's one of the biggest lessons that you've learned by implementing EOS?
Really good question, mate. What did I learn? Biggest learning: don't do it all yourself. And again, me losing my phone and my wallet, Noosa's got a very different perspective for us as a family. But I did try and do it, and I think yes, we can do it, because we do it. When your back's up against the wall, I do thrive under pressure. I think entrepreneurs generally do. But what I realised was I was holding people back. Some of the staff, you keep in contact with them. I had some great staff, and it wasn't just about me in the business. Yes, I had the ideas and the energy, but it was the staff and the values they all upheld that actually push the business forward. Often entrepreneurs, we do too much. We think we can do it, we end up not sleeping. We keep a lot of stress in our bellies,
Yeah.
in our heads. And it's like, well, if you hire people, you're hiring good people for a reason. Let them flourish. Give them the boundaries. So yeah, that's something I learned the hard way, and I do think entrepreneurs, some don't learn, some don't want to change. But yeah, if you can look outside the jar, look outside the box, and look at the staff that have got. We talk about right people, right seats, and we always say you've got to have both. Right people fit your values like a glove. I think in this industry, there's a lot of, and don't get me wrong, not all high billers are like this, but if it's just about the dollar, but you've got the wrong values that misalign with the business, we say, they're not the right people. It ends up hurting the business. So you've got to have right people, right seats. But yeah, definitely allow those people that you've employed, if they're the right people, to flourish, because they'll take your business to places that you never know that could even seem possible.
Yeah, look, if you haven't got the right people in your business, you really haven't got business. And I find it really hard to delegate. Like, I really, really do. Like, it's taken me probably 12 months to transition from like a direct sales role into then a CRO role where you've got reports, but I'm also billing still, and to be able to let the team, like you say, flourish. Like, it's taken me 12 months to really enjoy that, like handing it over and trusting them to be able to close deals and do the right thing by the company. Like, they could have always done it. It's just, it was more so my challenge of actually letting go.
And it's interesting you say that. My eyes are lighting up, because we talk about letting go of the vine.
Yeah, right.
And, whether that's from a leadership perspective, but we've done it before, so we keep doing it. But we're actually holding people back, not only just people, it's actually holding the business and potentially holding customers back. And I think another one from a COVID episode as well, people want a purpose. They really do. I mean, we spoke, briefly outside about your family.
Yeah.
And the tooth fairy, like, it shouldn't just be
And
about
just
work.
to clarify, not my teeth.
Well, that's not what you said.
Yeah.
But yeah, people want purpose in terms of what they're doing. And, if you've got a family, you've got other interests outside of work, it shouldn't just be about work. So let people flourish. They'll want to do it for you if you're doing things for the right purpose, the right company.
Yeah, that's spot on. What would be like the typical task that you see business owners hold on to too long?
I'm just trying to think. There's just a myriad of, absolutely everything. Sales is definitely one. And again, just talking about, I'm studying to be an exit planner. I think the EOS model and exit planning goes hand in hand. I think if you're a business owner and you are the best salesperson, inverted commas, you're bringing all the dollars in, you might want to exit over a period of time. Now, exit might look very different. It could be a board member, you could bring a family member in to run, but if you are, the number one salesperson in your own business, what's your business actually worth? So I think that's a big one. Payroll's another thing. People keep hold of it. I was that person. Many different things. I've got another business. They're in the media industry. You've got six owners. They all think they're six general managers. And I take it back to parenting. If mum says one thing and dad says the other, it often happens in business. Staff go to the least path of resistance.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's many different things that business owners keep hold of. For what reason, I don't know. But yeah, it's we're scared. We're in fear of somebody not doing how we perceive we're doing it right.
Yeah.
So yeah, a load of different things.
Yeah, okay. Like the sales one's definitely not even just with exiting, but if you've got, in recruitment specific, if you've got someone billing a high percentage of your book, well, you've got a massive risk that they might leave, might go and set up their own company. But then as well, when you get to an exit, the valuation, the multiplier is going to be a lot lower because again, it's still high risk, because if someone buys that business, what about them leaving in the future as well? So spreading the risk.
Spreading the risk in any business. And, if you're a business owner and you're putting all your eggs into one basket with one individual, that is the big biller, actually just have a look at the values. Has that person got the same values as the business? If they haven't, I worry for that business, because the eggs are in one basket, but I look at the rest of the team And if you're putting everything and you're just stroking that person's ego, not all big billers are like that. You know, just for the podcast, and if anyone does listen, but yeah, look at it from a holistic point of view.
People listen.
They might not when they know I'm on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's. I look at. I often bring business back to sport or back to football. I sort of break it down and say, generally speaking, you've got, if you look at football perspective, the striker gets paid more. You know, they score the goals. You know, look at Ronaldo, right? I'm a West Ham fan, but, you know, he's never played for us. He's got quite a big ego. It's about him. You know, he gets paid the dollars. But, you know, when I bring that into, say, a business, it's the salesperson that gets the dollars. You know, they bring it in. It's like, it's all about me. But, you know, then I sort of revert that back and say, well, from a payroll perspective or a finance manager, I look at those people as the goalkeeper. You know, it's keeping the ball out the back of the net, keeping the dollars spinning. Everybody's got a purpose in life. Everybody's got a purpose in business. And, you know, I think things are vastly changing in the recruitment world. You know, it has been very incentive-based. But, you know, if I look at myself and say, well, if I'm a finance person, or, you know, I'm a midfielder, I'm a customer service person, am I part of this game? You know, do I deserve a little bit of the commission as well? Because we're on the same field. Hopefully, if you've got the same purpose and the same vision, working towards the same goal. I just, maybe I'm hoping, but I just think things are changing in terms of the commission structure as well in this industry in particular. Yeah,
right. Okay, so you think potentially in the future the back office team will be incentivized, like a profit share, or
yeah, I mean, possibly. I mean, that's up to the individual business owner, but the payroll function, I think in any job or any business, but if we look at a recruitment perspective, if you haven't got a really strong goalkeeper at the back, a really strong payroll individual, or you're outsourcing it to, you know, someone strong, what's your business built on? Like, those contractors, they go out there, they do the work, they fill out the timesheet, they want to get paid. So, you know, if you haven't got a strong function, take a look at it, because to me it's not just sales, and I get you need sales, but you need a really strong team, you know, midfield, backs, goalkeeper. I've got a really strong belief on that one.
Yeah. Oh, look, spot on. Like, the salespeople can bring in the business, but if people are not delivering, payroll team not paying the contractors on time, or it's not a good tech stack in place for them to easily submit timesheets, get paid, invoice clients correctly.
Yep.
Well, I was always taught my first sales job, sales not done until the invoice is paid. That's what I was always told. So
did you follow it?
Yeah, I absolutely did, because I didn't get paid commission until the invoice is paid.
Yeah.
Which you'll probably see in some recruitment agencies, they actually pay comms before they get paid.
Yeah.
Which I definitely don't agree with, but yeah, that was what I was always taught.
Yeah.
Sales not done until the invoice is paid.
It's a really good message. It really is, and you know, I'm not saying every single salesperson, but when you're structured in terms of commission, there should be an expectation that it has to be 100% right.
Yeah.
Before you get paid the commission, and the 100% right for me, you know, in terms of payroll, is you need to get the purchase order number, you need to get the person's name, you need to get the timesheet. You know, otherwise the dollars don't come in the bank. And from a margin perspective, if payment terms get extended, or there's something not right, it's leakage.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We did an event recently. Nigel Haas mentioned, well, one simple thing you can do. You can go back to your business, like after this event, see how many people got paid on time, see how many people didn't get paid on time, see how many people got paid incorrectly, and then how many people got invoiced incorrectly. Those are all easy things that you can implement and fix to minimize the leakage in margin, because obviously it is a bit of a margin game, recruitment, as we know, on the contract side. So you need good processes. So obviously that's why we're in business to outsource. It's not a salesy podcast, but that's obviously what we do as part of our service offering, is make sure it runs smoothly and you maintain as much margin as possible.
It's massive. I mean, I think in any business, whether it's recruitment or other, you know, you could be rentals of machinery, whatever it may be. It's generally about, let's get more sales, which is great. But if you're not looking at the how the ball gets in the back of the net or keeps out the back of the net in terms of that margin leakage, all you're doing is just you're on a hamster wheel. You're just getting more sales, but you're leaking out the door. Whereas if you do both, all of a sudden you've got more profits, people are happier, it's more cohesive, and you're more profitable. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's often easy to go get more sales or get more leads. That's what we look at. But if you look at, as you mentioned, the whole remit, in terms of the business, like look at where it's leaking, because you can save dollars.
Yeah, no, definitely. So just going back to, well, we're still talking about EOS, but what would be like one simple thing that a business could implement from an EOS implementer? Like what would be like one free tool or one simple?
Me. Nah.
I said free.
No. I mean, EOS, we've got free books that we give away called Traction. We've got an absolute array of different free tools that people can put in. There's something that we call, I've actually just shared it with someone this morning that reached out to me. It's called the VTO, and it's got 8 simple questions on it, and it's really getting your vision down on paper and actually sharing it with the team. And often in businesses, I think people are definitely going through a repurpose at the moment, finding out what their purpose is. But if you're not on the same page as a vision as a business, people work in different ways. That's definitely one, vision, traction, organizer. And one of the other big ones within that is actually really finding out your core values. People used to laugh at me years ago when I speak about values, and they go, yeah, we've got them. And you ask them, well, what are they? And if you can't say what they are, and you aren't following them as a leadership team, then they're just words. So yeah, definitely finding out what your vision is from a leadership perspective, get it down on paper, share it with the team so everybody's rowing in the same direction. And that core values thing as well, and I say core values, every single business is different to each other, every single one. If you have got just values on the wall and you're not following them as a business owner or as a leadership team, they mean nothing. They really don't. So again, there's definitely things we used to have, really strong values in Airs, and yeah, we're humans, we make mistakes.
Yeah.
But, if you do make a mistake, you should be allowed to. The more open and honest you are as a business, and that's what EOS does teach you. We say about open, honest, vulnerable. Vulnerable to a bully is a different word, right? But if you're vulnerable with the right people, and you're a really close-knit team, it's really good, because it really does mean that you can share information and you can self-reflect. So yeah, core values is really key, and just make sure you follow them. Because if we talk about, say, transparency as one, which was with Airs, and if I wasn't transparent with the team, then I'm not following it. Why would they be transparent? Another one was honesty. If I'm not honest, how can I ask someone else to do it? And I think there's definitely that I find with people coming into the classroom, it's a really strong exercise that we do to really get down to that true core values of the business, and often does come from the business owners.
So basically what you're saying is, because I suppose it's easy to have values, and it's not easy for people to follow or live and breathe those values. So what you're saying is it's got to come from the top, and that's an easy way for your employees to.
For me, that's one of the most simplest things, and you just hit a nail there for me. I remember doing an interview when I was at Airs, and I was trying to get a salesperson on board, and I asked the question. I always led by values, and I asked the question, "What are your top 3 values?" And this person said, "Which, my ones at work or ones at home?" And I always gave people an hour of my time, because I felt they've got some story to tell. And generally, I think I terminated that interview within about 3 minutes or 2 minutes, because I said, for me, like, who are you, Jeff?
I want to know who that is.
Yeah, I can't remember. It's been eliminated from my head.
Yeah, good.
But if you're not, and we always talk about hiring, firing, rewarding, and recognising by values. Initially, it might feel a bit clunky, but people don't come to work for conflict. Generally, we've got good people wanting to come to work, and we are a high incentive. When I say we, the recruitment industry business is quite highly driven in terms of incentives. If you're just rewarding based on dollars, people can do the wrong thing. But, if you're being rewarded and recognised in line with values and monetary as well, it means so much more. People can be sort of, just again, people can make mistakes because some people, we do get greedy, right? There's an economy, I don't like to call it crisis. There's a blip in the market at the moment. It's been a blip for a while. And we worry, we get that scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we push people in line or try and get people in line with values, it's so much healthier. All of a sudden you've got a really good business where people want to work together and you're not working against each other. So, little tip.
Yeah, no, I like that. Well, not just keep talking about values, but what's the easiest way to measure that someone's following the values? Have you got any tips there?
We've actually got something that's called a people analyzer tool.
Right.
And it's interesting when we get leadership teams in and we get the core values out on a whiteboard. And generally speaking, you've got like 25, 30, 40 different characteristics. So you do I do a lot of questions, and as do all the implementers, to get down to 3 to 7. And we always say less is more with EOS. Make it more simple. So they vote themselves as a leadership team as to whether they follow those values. So if it's you follow that value all the time, you put the thumbs up. If it's some of the time, you put your hand to the side. And if it's none of the time, you put your thumbs down. And they do that on a bit of paper. But then what they don't realise, I've got the blue Peter, here's something I've made earlier, and we've got it on the whiteboard. So then we vote in front of each other. And of course, if you don't follow a value, it might be committed. And the leader, that runs the business isn't committed or whatever it is in line with that value, it can hurt. Where you see somebody's mark you down and you think you're brilliant and you're always in line with it. But therein lies the point. It's not about what we think, it's about how we're perceived to other people. So that tool in itself is so strong. And we've got like 25, 30 different tools within EOS, and they all of them are back to each other and really, really work. It's such a powerful tool.
Yeah, I
it's
love
so
that.
nice. Yeah, it's amazing. It really is good.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. I just want to go back to, I think you mentioned earlier, you may or may not have mentioned this today, but you said 70 or 80% of businesses go on the market and they don't actually end up selling. Maybe you didn't say it today, but I feel like you said that.
I didn't say it today, but I have said it, and I'm doing some studying at the moment last night, and that 70 to 80% statistic is true.
Yeah, right. So tell us about what are the reasons they don't sell, and how can more businesses sell that do go on the market?
Use some funding. I think there's so many different reasons that businesses don't sell, and the statistic is, 70 to 80% that go on the market don't sell.
Yeah.
Right? So true fact. It could be that company owners, they're the super employee and they're doing absolutely everything. We have got egos. Some people have got bigger ones, and we think, by doing everything, we're great. And, is that attractive? If you want to sell your business and you're the super employee and you want to exit, what's the potential buyer going to buy if you don't want to stay around? Again, from an ego perspective, do we think our businesses are worth more because we've put so much blood, sweat and tears into it? The answer is yes. So, the multiple in our heads is more, but when it goes out to market and we've got people looking at it, the multiple's normal. That's what they see. What's somebody buying? So there's and yes, I've exited. It didn't necessarily end up what I thought was going to be the case because I had my mental health breakdown. But again, I've learned from that one. I think people get cold feet. If your business has been your baby for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, or it's in the family, you might get to that period of time where you go, oh yeah, it's worth $1 million or 5 million or 10 million, whatever the number is. Do you really want to exit when you actually think about it, when the potential dollars are on the table? I think people do get cold feet and they realise their identity is their business. So people don't follow through. So there's a number of different reasons why people don't go through with it or it doesn't get sold. And again, profitability is another one, and processes and systems. So yeah, there's so many different reasons why they don't go on the market. Why they do go on the market, but don't necessarily get sold.
Yeah, and you mentioned obviously after a sale, like your identity. I know that was probably a little bit of a struggle for you after selling Airs.
Mate, it was my baby.
Yeah.
You know, again, it's a podcast for another day, and I've been podcasted about mental health. I've got a massive there's a massive problem out in the world right here, right now.
Yeah.
You know, mental health reasons. You know, people are struggling day in, day out. But yeah, I hadn't slept for 7 to 10 days. That's not normal. But that was me. You know, identity crisis. I'm just this not young lad anymore. But I came from Chesham. Mum and dad were workers, and I felt that I didn't deserve the profit from the sale. And of course, when you haven't slept for 10 days, I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. But my mind was all over the place. So yeah, for me, I think yes, there was an identity crisis. That was my baby. I'd built it with the staff, and we got a really strong set of values. So not everyone's going to go down that pathway, but yeah, people do have that. If that's been your business and been your baby as an entrepreneur, that's what you give a shit about. You're putting food on the table, for your family, or putting $2 in a tooth fairy's pocket to go and give it to your daughter. Hopefully she doesn't listen to this one, but
she's definitely not listening.
No, that will send us to sleep. But yeah, we care as entrepreneurs, as our business, and we go through so much. So yeah, in terms of exit planning, I didn't plan to exit, but with business owners, you've got to have a plan as well. What you think in your head your business is worth, and the multiplier might not be reality. So yeah, there's a number of different reasons, but I think identity for me was one, and I understand why an identity crisis can happen if that's what you've done for a lot of years of your life.
Yeah.
People run expenses through their businesses, right, from their personal. So to me, it's not business and life; it's all part of one. And that's why I think purposes in businesses have got a huge thing to play, and values. I mean, there's a statistic in the market at the moment. 75% of people around the world want to leave their current position.
That's huge.
And if I'm a business owner, I'll be looking at my staff and what I'm doing and thinking, as 3/4 of my business, wanting to leave. And that's not everybody, right? I mean, if you're putting people first and you've got a purpose, massive game changer. But yeah, that statistic, that's been said to me so many times by a lot of different recruitment companies.
Well, what's the reason? What's the reason 75% of people are looking to leave? Money, or just...
It's not the number one reason.
It's not the number one.
It's interesting you say that, because you'd think it would be in this economy blip. It's about money. It's not. Yeah, that is a driver, but what does an extra $5,000 mean to someone, or what does an extra 10 grand? If you're not treating your staff right and you haven't got a major purpose, in your business, that's what people are looking for. And people are looking at their businesses, and if you're not, it's something to really think about. You can't change it overnight.
No, of course not. And this comes back to EOS. This is what you're helping people do. Yeah, no, I like it.
It's a scary number, but it's the
scary.
Real number.
Yeah, it's a shock, actually.
It shocked me, but I clarified it with 3 or 4 different people to make sure I'm reading the information correctly. One was 71, the other one was 75. So I'm going, yeah, all right. Okay, this is true.
So just to wrap it up, Colin, we've been chatting for a little while, which is awesome, really interesting stuff. But I just wanted to just finish off, like, what do you see happening in the recruitment industry over the next 5 years? And what can people implement if they're looking to grow, scale, and potentially exit? I know it's a big question. It was a bit of a mouthful, but...
I thought you said wrap it up.
Yeah, I know.
No, really quickly. I mean, what I'm seeing in the market, I think there seems to be a lot more collaboration between businesses.
Yeah.
Which is, I think that's great to see. It used to be really, I mean, it's still competitive. It has to be. But there's definitely a lot more collaboration. Everyone talks about AI. It's not taking over the world. It's not going to take over your job. I think what it will do is support the good recruitment companies. And I think for me, that then puts the onus or the emphasis back on the customer, so the support to the customer is going to be even better. And I say the customer, not just the paying customer, but the contractor, the person, being put in the job. So yeah, collaboration, AI is going to help. I think I hope, in terms of the incentive eyes, it's still going to be an incentive business, but what I'd like to see is a lot more team play. Everybody's got a job, in a game of football. Everyone's got a job in a recruitment company, and when you mirror that up and you dovetail it, it's only going to be a lot stronger organisation. I speak to a lot of recruiters still, tends to be the business owners right at the top, and they're doing everything. And recruitment, as you know, has changed dramatically. Payroll organisation, like, was 120 different awards.
Yeah.
You know, the compliance, people didn't necessarily get into the industry for compliance. But yeah, I think sharing information, collaborating, asking, and putting your hand up when you haven't got the answer. Don't pretend to know it all. You don't need to. So yeah, I'd like to see that. And recruitment's going to be around forever, but I think it is going to get sieved out a little bit. The good ones are going to get better, and you know that only is going to be good for the contractor, the worker, and the business that's looking out for people. Next year I think is going to be super busy. I think that's my take. That's my feeling.
Well, let's hope so.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think for everybody, people are looking to move. If you're not looking after your staff and you haven't got a purpose in your business, get yourself one pretty quickly, because there's a reason why you set the business up in the first place. If it's just for money, people want more. So that's
that's
my
great.
take.
I really appreciate that, Colin. Thanks so much for coming on.
Appreciate it, mate. Good to see you.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you very much.